Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam and we are back with another video, and today, seeing as it's an international break, I thought I'd ask you guys to give me some questions and do a little Q&A. So this video is a whole load of randomness, me going through your questions. I got the laptop in front of me, I got some of your questions in front of me. Thank you to everyone that gave their questions in on the community tab on the YouTube channel. I do appreciate every single last one of you, and we're going to get stuck into these questions right about now. But if you want to see when I am asking for questions, then obviously hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications button, and you'll get all the notifications when I'm asking for questions, or when I'm posting videos, or when I'm going live, or whatever. So hit that red button right down there, subscribe, and keep it locked to AdamMcKola TV. Right, let's get stuck into these questions. The first question is one from Ion's Legacy, and he says, why do you always claim Scott McTominay is a squad player and insinuate that he has reached his ceiling when he is only a year older than Marcus Rashford and has years ahead to be a great midfielder? Now this is a two-part question, so I'll answer that part first. Now, like I've said many times, Scott McTominay has actually proven me wrong. From my initial impressions of him when he came through, I didn't think he was great. His performances weren't that great, and I felt he only really got into the team because of his physicality. But what he has done through sheer hard work, determination, wanting to fight for that shirt, he's improved and improved and improved in a Man United shirt. His passing is getting a lot better. He keeps it simple, he tidies things up, he breaks down play, and he's energetic. It's all over the park. So he maintains them energy levels for us. Now, we need a little bit more quality in that central midfield area, in my opinion, especially if we're going to play two. If we play three, I think in the long term, if this is, Scott McTominay could improve even further and become the mainstay of our central mid. There's no doubt that could happen. But looking at it from now, I just feel like a little bit more quality in there, and he can become one of 2, 3, 4 central midfielders that are part of a team, part of a squad, and you're not going to play the same central midfield every single week. So that's what I mean by that. It's no disrespect to him. I just never think he's going to become the main man for Manchester United. He can be the main man in the dressing room. He can be like, the heartbeat of the team, but I just don't ever think he's going to be a world-class player. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's the level that we have to hope for in our midfield. But like I say, Scott McTominay is fantastic. At this moment in time, he's definitely first choice for Manchester United. But we want to improve our midfield as well. And hopefully, if Scott McTominay becomes someone that is seen as second or third choice or fourth choice option in midfield, that shows you the quality that we have there, doesn't it? Your second part is also, why do you always assume if United pursue a signing a player from the Championship that they have to be a squad player for us, then complain we can't pick out gems like Maddison? I've never assumed Championship players will immediate like they have to be squad player. I've never assumed that. I assume you're meaning Daniel James. Now when he arrived, £15 million, you're looking at it and the style of player he was, someone that was an energetic, pure pace, running in behind. He looked like the kind of player that would come off the bench for you, especially when you sign a player from the Championship. He's coming into the Premier League. It's a big test for him. It's a big challenge. It's a big rise. It's a big step up. Obviously now when you're looking at Danny James, again, his first choice. But if we improve our team, he'll become an option. And I think that's what we need to do. Daniel James is a great option. And obviously, players' ceiling isn't the Championship if they're playing the Championship, as you mentioned with Maddison. And I think there's a number of quality players that have been playing in the Championship. Jack Grealish, who's now in the Premier League. Calvin Phillips, who's still in the Championship with Leeds. So I don't think your ceiling is a squad player if you come from the Championship. No, I just thought with Daniel James, you had to take our time with him, which is, again, he's come in and he's absolutely teared it up. So fair play to him. Jonathan says, once Luke Shaw is fit, do you think Williams will still get a chance to play? And who do you think will be the better left back for United in the future? Good question. Thank you for sending that one in. Once Luke Shaw is fit, so does Luke Shaw come straight back in as our number one left back? Was his form that great to say he comes immediately back in? Probably not. In terms of where he is in his career, his age, his position in the team, player of the year last year, although personally I'm not too sure about that one myself, he probably will. But I think Brandon Williams is showing that he deserves to get that chance, and I still think he will get a chance to play as well. It's going to be rotation. And I think what Brandon Williams has shown is a drive, especially in getting forward, which Luke Shaw hasn't shown. I think defensively Luke Shaw has done okay, although at times he does get caught out of position, but that will happen when you bomb forward. But in terms of going forward and in that final third, I think when you see what Brandon Williams did at where was it now, to win the penalty, Partizan Belgrade, to win the penalty, you don't see that enough from Luke Shaw, and we need to see that more. I do think Brandon Williams can fight for his spot though. Nathan says, who in your opinion is United's best signing since Sir Alex Ferguson retired? So we've had the likes of Fellaini, Juan Mata. Juan Mata is actually a decent shot. He's actually come in and been a success. We got the likes of Anthony Martial, Falcao, Di Maria obviously weren't successes. There's a lot of players that you look at and you think they should have been. Alexis Sanchez, Falcao, Di Maria, and the like. Daley Blind, I wish he was still here now because I think he could have been a quality player for us. Herrera, if he was still here, may have been an option there. But best signing since Fergie retired. Can we include anyone that's just signed? I'd probably err against that. I'd go Anthony Martial, you know. And that's not me just being biased. I think having signed him at that time, 35 million plus like 15, 20 million in bonuses and add-ons. So you're looking 50, 55 million if he achieves all them. I think we actually got a bargain in that time, because when you look at the inflation on players and you look for the price that Ousmane Dembele went for, etc., etc., I think getting Martial in at that time, an absolute talent, was probably a steal. So yeah, I'd go with that one. Romil says, why is Ole being written off that easily? He certainly manages his men well. I think part of it comes with, you know, when Mourinho and Van Gaal were here, we kind of had that thing where they had been successes before, so you could see an end product of what they wanted to achieve in their past work. You could see that. You could see an end product of what they wanted to achieve in their past work. So, you know, you could always point to that, their medals, their success. Now with Ole Gunnar Solskjær, he's being written off easily because one, you know, the results in that gap between PSG and parts of this season haven't been good enough. And they have to be a lot better, especially when you look at where we've sat in the table for large periods of this season. And you'd expect pressure to come to any manager of Manchester United. But also because of, you know, Cardiff getting relegated, whether that's completely his own fault, I don't think so. But he's got that on his record. He's got only managing in Norway. So there's many things that can come into people's minds when thinking about him that make us think he's out of his depth. Now, he could be out of his depth, but like you say, he manages his men well. And I think the squad management has definitely been a vast improvement. And I think when you look at his signings, and you mentioned if we get more signings in, you could probably see a much better Manchester United side under Ole. I think there is a valid argument to that, but you've got to get results, and you've got to be improving, and you've got to be showing signs of your players improving as well. And at the moment, we're starting to see that, but it has to be a consistent thing, and we have to see that over a longer period of time. But thank you for your question, Bramil. Now, Riaz and Rick have sent in a question in regards to the Saudi takeover. Now, I did a video on this on Full Time Devils, and I've seen Stephen Alson's video as well that he's did as well with Jim White, which was pretty good to see. He's making some great content, so check out his channel and check out the video that we did on Full Time Devils as well. What are my thoughts on a potential Saudi Arabian takeover? And Riaz also says, let's spin it, because he's obviously probably watched the video that I mentioned that I wouldn't be comfortable with the Saudi Arabian government buying Manchester United and using United to sports wash, their image, which is what they would do. That's why they're getting fights like AJ against Fariz. That's why they're, doing certain deals with certain people that, are over in England or the US or whatever. They're making the human rights abuse and all that stuff, kind of hide that away a little bit with all these great things that they can do because of the financial power. And Riaz says, let's say the UK government wants to buy us out. Would we still be like, no, we're not interested? Those that will say, yeah, why not? Has our government not caused atrocities in war also? Now, I don't want to get very political. Speaking about politics has obviously got me into trouble before. But I can kind of see what you're saying. there are a lot of governments that are involved in shady things. The US government, the UK government, governments all over the world, the Saudi government, the Israeli government, whatever. And you look at all these things and you think, right, if they were buying it, would the narrative be different? And possibly, because obviously the Western world obviously has a different image, but that doesn't change what I believe, and it wouldn't sit right with me. I wouldn't stop going to games. I'd always go to games. I'm still going to games with the Glazers there, but it just wouldn't sit right with me. It wouldn't sit right with me at all. Serious Lee says, Ollie's signings seem to be working so far. How much do you trust the powers that be to keep bringing in the right players over the next few windows? I don't, to be honest with you. Obviously, you hope Ollie is doing his work in the background, and you're hearing links to Haaland and all sorts, and they kind of suggest that, you know, if it's true, you're looking towards the future, and you're looking to bring in the right players. But do I trust the likes of Ed Woodward and co? No. Sonny Kasang says, what do I think about Andreas Pereira's place in the team going forward this season? I'm a big fan of Andreas Pereira. I think he's a baller. When I watched him in the 23s, him and Fosu Mensah were probably my favourite out of that kind of age group, and you had Axel Twanzebe there as well. And Andreas Pereira was an absolute baller, and then he kind of stagnated in the 23s. I don't think the 23s is great for players that are far and away the best, because then they start taking the piss, and you hear about stories of Januzaj and Pereira spending games trying to score from corners and stuff. But he's a great footballer in terms of he has the technique, he has the skill, he has the ability, but his decision making is very poor. And I think unless you're getting that decision making right, you're never going to be more than a squad player. And you got a little bit lucky with it against Brighton, chucking in the step overs, not making the pass, thinking about shooting for too long, gets tackled, the ball luckily stays with United and we score. But you know, he's got to get his decision making right. But then he's been responsible for some very good passes, some good assists this season. So there's been hits and there's been misses from him. You'd like to think, you know, with settled consistency in the team, that he'll start to show his quality a little bit more, but you're not going to get consistent game time if you're not performing, and if you're performing inconsistently. So you need to perform and you need to deliver, and he needs to get his final ball right. DM says, personal question, what part of Ireland did your grandparents come from? My mum's family come from Belfast, and they obviously come over. My grandma came over to England back in the day when there was no blacks, no dogs, no Irish signs, and all that crazy stuff. So obviously my grandparents have grown up through that on my mum's side, and they come from Belfast. That side of the family as well. That's why, like, when I met Henrik Larsson, a lot of that family that come from Belfast supported Celtic. So when I was meeting him, I was meeting a lot of my Irish family's heroes, because obviously it was a cult hero for United, but he was there for a very limited time, whereas he absolutely tore it up there. A lot of jealous family. Robert says, do you think that United will be active in the January market? I can see maybe like a Mandzukic or something, but I can't see any big signings really happening. But then again, you got the Euro 2020 coming up. If there's any players that aren't playing, maybe they'll want to move. Possibility around Christian Eriksen maybe, but I can't see United making a signing of Christian Eriksen. Pogba needs to go. I don't agree with that at all. And I've made my opinion on that quite a lot, so I'm not going to do it this time. Beefy says, do you think that you guys have dropped the ball with full-time Devils? I asked because you've gone from number one, number two very quickly. Do you think that all you guys using full-time Devils as a vehicle? Sam and David MUTV, House and Finch's Pundit God, has slowed the channel's growth and allowed the unspeakable one to become the biggest on the planet. First of all, being the biggest on the planet, you know, does it really matter? We're still there, we're still making content. As long as you're tuning in, as long as you're watching, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters, right? The Sun is the biggest newspaper in the world. I wouldn't read it myself personally. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like it. So, you know, just the biggest isn't always the best. You may think it's the best, and if that's so, carry on. But for me, we're going to keep doing things how we do things. I'm going to keep doing things how I do things. I'm never going to change. I'm never going to think I have to change to keep up with others and other fan channels and all that stuff. we're always going to keep being ourselves. Now, obviously, you may have noticed, like, over the last 6-7 months, Full Time Devils, it has had a few issues, and that's been down to producer Chris leaving. It was a big part of the channel. Me and him were doing a lot of, you know, the work and all that stuff on the channel. He left, we had to replace him. We've had to readjust and move forward. Now, obviously, we do things in our way. If you like that, fair enough, tune in. I love it. Keep it locked to Full Time Devils. If you don't, carry on. That's fine. We're not your cup of tea. That's okay. But we're always going to keep being ourselves. We're always going to keep doing what we do, and we're not going to change. And in fact, when you look at it, you know, we have added a lot of good things to the channel as well recently. When you're looking at the podcast, I think the podcast's fantastic. We're still doing great things with the likes of, you know, Henrik Larsson and doing all those kind of things. And the fan cams are still quality. Obviously, if you don't want to watch them and there's other alternatives out there, fair enough. But we're always going to be there, and we're always going to be being ourselves. And whether you like it or not, that's just how it is, isn't it? As for like guys using Full Time Devils as a vehicle, look, Sam and Dave, they don't work with us anymore. That's their choice. Obviously, Sam's doing, you know, great things with MUTV. Dave's doing various different things, and he's obviously got a role with MUTV. They feel they can't work with us because of that. That's fine. Howson's still a big part of the channel. He's obviously doing his own things. He's obviously got his own channel, Stretford Paddock, MMA stuff. He's doing things there, so he's busy, but he's still a big part of Full Time Devils, and he always will be. Whether we're the biggest or not, it doesn't matter. We're still going to be here to keep it locked to Full Time Devils. And obviously, with your suggestions or criticism or whatever, we'll try to improve as well. So yeah, if there's ways you think we can add to the channel or whatever, they're always open to ideas. So yeah, keep it locked. So there we have it. That has been the Q&A. Maybe I'll do these more often when there isn't so many games in a week, and I can squeeze them into the calendar, because so busy. Like I said, with Full Time Devils, my channel suffers. Obviously, I have to focus on that as well, and keeping that going and doing all the stuff that we do there. So much so that I don't get much time to make content for ourselves. But make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, liking, commenting, sharing, keeping it locked to AdamMcKola TV and Full Time Devils. And for now, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm out of here.